What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick from POWLAX, where we create confident coaches because confident coaches create great environments for players. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to beat a zone. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified when we come out with brand new content. Our subscriber to watcher ratio is at about 15%, so tons of people don't subscribe, which is totally fine. It does help out the channel, and it will not overrun your YouTube experience with lacrosse stuff. So if you want to subscribe, please do. It does help the channel. This video is brought to you by POWLAX.com. This is where we house and organize all of the POWLAX lacrosse coaching content so that it's easier to find. And I'm just going to go through some of our sections right now, show you what it has to offer so that if there's ever a time you need more lacrosse content, you know exactly where to find it. Our first section is our Master Coach section. This is all of our strategy videos, our offenses, defenses, man up, man down, riding, clearing, some box videos. This is also where this video will live, and it will probably be like the two-man game video that will be divided up into sections that correspond to each way that we are going to try to beat the zone. Our next section is the drills section. This includes offensive, passing, shooting, dodging drills, defensive drills like approaches, concept drills to teach players concepts we're going to use in games, and of course, player favorite drills like the do scrapping drill, general one-on-ones, and of course, West Jenny. Our next section is the skill development section. This is going to teach proper technique as well as how players can practice at home. And then my personal favorite part of this section is the guided wall ball. This is actually going to have players play wall ball while they're listening, and it's going to tell them when to switch from one technique to the other so that they can spend 10 minutes getting the best wall ball session that they can. Finally is the new to lacrosse section. This is what we want to send to any of our brand new players and parents to get them started off on the right foot. The first video is what is lacrosse. It's going to go over the origins of the sport as well as its modern representations, and it's going to get players excited about being a part of the sport. There was an ESPN documentary about Jim Brown playing lacrosse a while back that's in that video. It absolutely hypes people up. And the final section in our new to lacrosse, which is really important, is the choosing the right stick. This is going to teach people about pocket mechanics so that when they buy a brand new stick, they either know to get it restrung or they just know that the stick might not work as well as others, so that when their kid struggles, they understand that it's the pocket's problem, not the kid. And hopefully they just get a good stick so that the kid will enjoy the sport. The final thing I'm going to show you on POWLAX.com is the memberships. So the one I'm going to focus on is the silver membership, and this gives you access to the playbook PDFs that correspond to all of these videos, including this video. So what you do is you become a silver member for $5 per month, and you get access to my entire digital playbook. Then when you find something that you want, you just come to the videos. Let's say you want to do the Ohio State pairs offense. Click on to that video, go to the page, and then you're going to click this PDF button below the video, and it's going to download the playbook PDF for that. You can download it, print it out, put it in your playbook, have it forever, bring it to practice so you have something easy to reference. And that's POWLAX.com. There's a few more things we're going to get to in a second as we go through how we are going to teach you how to beat a zone. So this video was kind of stemmed from the Wesleyan Championship Zone video that I did a couple years ago, because people would say, cool, and I know how to run a zone now, but how do I beat it? And so as I was watching film, I compiled some highlights, and so we are going to be going over how to beat a zone with two principles. The first is the POWLAX Digital Playbook, and the second is going to be the actual live videos of collegiate teams. So this is the POWLAX Digital Playbook. It has a variety of different plays, variants on certain plays, and you can actually gain access to this individually for yourself for $60 per year. And if you want to share it with a team, you've got to become a POWLAX Gold member. But you'll be able to share it with players on your team. You have to get a Lacrosse Lab account. Now, one cool thing about the Lacrosse Lab account is that as you share it with your players, you can actually track and see who has seen and who has watched every play that you share. Another really cool thing about Lacrosse Lab is that you can actually practice plan using it with the drills that are in Lacrosse Lab. So You create a schedule, you create time frames of when you want to run what drill, and then it will remind you at practice with your watch or your phone. Then you pull out your phone, you look at what drill is next, you can click on it, it will show you the drill so that you know exactly what you're going to be getting into in the next side of practice. So we are going to teach how to beat a zone through Lacrosse Lab and then go through some live videos of each concept, and we're going to move right along. So first, we are going to go to offense, all the way down to the bottom, how to beat a zone. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about zone principles in general. So all of these players in red, not the circles, but these players, I guess they are little circles, are players within a zone. Their job is to defend the players within the zones that they inhabit. Now, they're not here right now, the zone spaces that they would have, but you can kind of imagine as we move through the video. So when we want to attack a zone, the first thing we need to understand is two concepts. The first is gaps. The second is soft spots. We want to attack the gaps and soft spots. Gaps are going to be spaces between the perimeter zones. Soft spots are going to be spaces between the crease player and the perimeter zones. And so recognizing that idea is going to help our players know kind of where they want to stand, how they want to read players. And that's just really important in terms of once we get into the strategies, you'll notice that that idea just transcends everything in terms of how we want to beat these zone defenses. The second thing we're going to want to understand is where are the short sticks? So in this diagram, we have a midfielder, that's a shorty, a long stick top center, defenseman top right, defenseman side right, midi on the crease, and defenseman low left. So I would call this zone a 15 because I use a phone keypad system where it basically goes 1, 2, 3 across the top, 4, 5, 6 across kind of the crease level, and then 7, 8, 9 behind the goal. And so when we are trying to attack a zone, the first thing we want to do is find the shorties, because if we can just beat our men, that's a good thing. And a lot of people think beating your own man is not necessarily how we want to beat a zone, but a zone is just defense. And if you can beat your man in space, a tight space, and get off good shots near the goal, that's exactly what you should do. So the first diagram we're going to go over is winning a matchup in the 3. So this is just your traditional alley dodge. Now, as this player dodges down the alley, maybe he has to use fakes and some savviness to try and fake away the slides to get in and turn inside and score. But it's definitely a position where we can beat our men and then turn inside to get into the goal. The next position that's really good to try to beat our men, especially if it's a short stick, which it's not usually, but if it's a short stick or we have a good attackman, is the 4 and 6 zones. So as a player is at X, especially if the defensive team doesn't go out and play us at X, we're going to want to dodge near the pipes, because if we can win a matchup right near the pipes, the odds of them being able to slide from the crease zone or slide down is pretty minimal. And so if we can win our matchups there, that's going to be a very advantageous situation where we're beating our men right on the pipe, easily able to score. The final thing in terms of beating our men against the zone is going to be passing into the dodge. So right here we have number 1 has the ball. Number 2 is going to come set a pick for number 1, but it's really just a dummy play, because what we really want is this dodge with number 3 versus number 3 to come down this alley. But by running this motion on the backside and passing into the dodge to the player we want to attack, which is the red 3 right here, that's going to give us more space to dodge. It's going to allow us to have easier dodges, especially if this is a short stick. So nice little motion, pass goes across, alley dodge comes down, shot is taken. So now we're going to move into some video. So the first one we have is from the Delaware Duke game 2 nights ago. Luckily, Delaware went into a zone and Duke fit this scheme perfectly. So Andrew McAdory came out of the box. We have our shorty, beats him underneath. The rotation wasn't there in time. Score, nice goal. Next is Jared Bernhardt from a couple years ago. Ball goes to X. Now, what you're going to see here is this defenseman is going to move out to play Bernhardt as the goalie kind of comes to the side. Now, a lot of zones will rotate the bottom 3 zones so that defensemen don't have to give up a player at X, because a player at X is going to have his hands free, be able to look through the defense. We don't want that. We want to have stick in hands so that they can't just look through and feed as we're in our zone. Now, as he comes around, Bernhardt realizes he's kind of got him hung up, pushes to the middle, nice question mark jump shot. It's so easy to score in that position just because he's so close to the goal. If anyone's going to slide, it's going to be late, and just great play by best player from the last couple of years. Next, we have the example of hang-ups, right? As this player's hung up, we can clearly look through the defense, right, to players. But what also happens is the defender is in a really precarious situation if he decides to move up the field. So as he dodges, nice little body, inside roll, turns inside and scores. Next, we have the same basic scenario with Towson and Loyola. And as the ball swings around, this player is just going to dodge, beat his man underneath, dive, and score. Now we're going to go to the idea of passing into the zones. So as the ball swings, you're going to get pretty much that exact situation we talked about, where a player is going to come out here and set a pick. So as he picks and he comes over the top, we're really going to be isolating. Let's get back to that spot. So he's going to come out, kind of set a dummy pick. We're really isolating this player against the dodger as he goes forward. Got a lot of space, dodges down the alley. Nice goal. Next, in terms of some off-ball action we can use to set up a good dodge, this video we have a seal. This player is sealing off his defenseman for the dodger up top. Now, he doesn't really seal and then slip through, which he can do, but it does slow up this defenseman enough to where as this player catches the ball, the approach wasn't as good as it could be, and he does a great hitch to a roll and then scores. Finally, Syracuse has time running down against Rutgers. They've got 8 seconds left to shoot. They just throw the ball from one side of X to the other. The defenseman has a pretty bad approach and beats him by getting underneath and having a nice diving goal. So once that starts to happen and we start to beat our men individually in space, what we're going to end up having is we're now going to have defensemen that are going to slide. Now, as they slide, we are going to need to dump the ball, right? So we're going to try to draw players, and then we're going to dump the ball. And the first way we're going to show doing that is using the side 3v2. So when we're playing and they're in a zone, if we push aside, what we end up with is a 3-on-2 on each wing, right? So if it were on the left side here, it'd be 1 and 4 against 1 and 4 in blue. And then if 6 goes this way, we end up with a 3v2. Now on this side, same idea. 6 plays 6, 3 plays 5, and now 2 is open, and we just want to play out that 3v2. So anytime we have a player at X, we're going to want them to push the side and force this 3-on-2. Now, if 3 jumps 5, we can skip it through, but it's really about playing and reading these actions in these plays. So let's go and watch some film on these ones. So Ward Melville Hill here is in a zone. He draws this defenseman down. The rotation is too slow. Nice look, hits pipe, still a great play. Next, we've got Rutgers and Penn State. Now, as the ball's thrown down, now they're just going to attack this 3v2 on this wing and end up with a great shot. Here we've got Notre Dame Richmond doing the same things. Now, in order to do this, you do have to be kind of savvy, but if you skip the ball through in a zone, you actually allow that zone to reset. Now, this next clip is going to be the next way we want to talk about defeating the 3v2 on that side. And so the first thing we're going to show is an alley dodge with a near side sneak. And what's cool about this is if you use the Cuse offense, this is part of the Cuse offense. So as this player dodges down the alley, once he gets down far enough, this 4 zone is going to come out. So as he dodges, the 4 is going to step out to play the dodger. And if this attackman, A5 right here, just kind of sits on the pipe or just follows the slide upfield, he's going to be able to catch a nice pass and then turn inside to shoot. The other cool thing about Cuse in this example is the crease attackman, A4 here, is going to mirror upwards, which is going to bring the crease defenseman up with him, which will give A5 some space. So as he dodges, he dumps it down to A5, and then A5 can turn and shoot, or if the crease does now come down, now the crease guy can actually come down and have another pass to a goal. So now let's see that one in action. So ball swings around, attacking a shorty, dodges, draws the low defenseman, which creates space for the player at X, who turns the corner and scores. Same idea here with Duke and Delaware 2 nights ago. Alley dodge goes down the side. Player sneaks from X as the low defenseman's drawn out. Nice, easy dodge, draw, and dump. Now it does take a bit of savviness to throw these passes, but it's definitely something where if they're going to abide by these zone rules, you're going to have these looks. The next thing we want to talk about in terms of drawing and dumping is going to be the ability to, I want to say we're going into picking. Yes, we're going to talk about picking in zones. So if we want to pick within a zone, it's going to give us a really cool idea. So our whole objective is to attack gaps within zones, right? We're going to draw 2 zones together in order to attack. The other way we can do it is we can attack one side of the zone and then pass to the opposite side of the zone. So in this example, we're going to have the ball passed up to number 1, and 1 is going to get a pick from 2. Now, when we pick within a zone, what's cool about it is as 1 comes off the pick, he's going to draw that zone, but the picker is still in the opposite side of that zone, stepping into the gap. And so by picking within a zone, we actually end up in that opposite side, and now we can draw and dump. Here you see they took the step down. Now, as we move into these few examples, pick comes top center. Dodge goes. Now, he didn't get a slide, and so he turns the corner and he scores. Good stuff. You don't always have to throw to the rolling player. You really want to be a good dodger first. Next example, same basic idea. Pick comes. He rolls off, throws a pass back to him. Now, you can see, like this was kind of I think it was a tipped pass, but what you end up seeing is that as he throws it, now regardless, we're in a 2-on-1 situation here with 2 Duke players and the 1 Richmond player. Now, if he catches this clean, he's stepping in, they're playing anyway. It was tipped, and he does end up making a great play and scoring anyway, but that's basically just how it will work. Now, here, Maryland does a similar thing, but they actually use kind of a nation's look. Basically, this player is going to pass the ball. He's going to move in to pick. This player is going to come off, and then, so they basically have the original player pick here, and then as he throws it, he's now going to pick down, and they're going to roll back over the top for a nice little rangy step down. The next idea in terms of drawing and dumping that we want to use is going to be the fade and follow. The fade and follow is an offense that Duke ran against Hopkins a couple years ago, where basically we want to attack top center. And the reason we would attack top center in a zone is if they put the short stick top center. Now, in my diagram, I'm going to show you what it would look like against a zone where the midfielder here is the player in the zone, or is the short stick in the zone. Now, when we get to the video, they weren't running a zone, but the way the fade and follow works pretty much puts them into a zone anyway, because the way the top 3 players move with each other, any slide that comes is going to basically have zone-like principles. And you'll see what I mean when we get into it. So, first off, they're going to run their traditional Cuse-like motion to get into the set, which for us is a sweep, a fade, a cut the middle, and a mirror. And now as they play, once they're in this position, if the ball carrier, who's top center, carries to his left, the top right player is going to fade and the top left player is going to follow. And they basically stay equidistant away from each other so that if a player does slide, the other player is going to be open. Now, as he tries to attack, he's got a few options. If he draws a slide, he can an adjacent slide, he can then throw to that next player and then he can shoot. Now, if nothing is available in that set as he is rolling back and forth, he also has the option to pass down to one of the wing players and then set a pick, and it basically creates a weave motion. And the objective of the weave is to keep the top center player, who is a shorty, in the top center so that we can attack from a really great place right in front of the goal as we're playing. Now, The last thing I'll mention in terms of the fade and follow is that it's really about reading the field and not necessarily about, you know, we have to find this look or that look. And if you draw from the crease, it's the same basic idea. We're going to basically isolate all the slides and then feed the player who the defenseman slid from. So now let's watch some fade and follow. So like I mentioned, Hopkins is not in a zone defense. They are in a man-to-man defense. But once we get here, you're going to notice that they're going to operate like a zone. As this player carries to his left and rolls back, you'll see this defenseman show. So as he goes this way and then back, this defenseman will show. This player is going to fade. Now as he rolls back, he's going to press the middle. Same idea. You'll notice that these 4 defensive players are basically filling the top 3 and then crease position in the 3-3 zone. Nothing's there, so he passes it. He ends up weaving. They keep the shorty there. This player takes a nice shot, and play continues. Now as the ball comes back up top and they try to attack the short stick to the middle again, this time nobody slides, and he has a nice little step down from about 12 yards where he scores. Now if we run it back a bit, you'll really see exactly how valuable this can be. If a team puts a shorty up top, that means they're trying to probably press out their poles on the right side of the field and the left side of the field. And what that's going to allow us to do with shorties inside is just press directly top center. Now, as this happens, you'll notice, I think this player's already committed. And so if he steps in, look at how nice that little pass to a step down is going to be if he does end up sliding. Definitely a great thing to run against the zone. Now we're going to move into the 1-4-1 carry step-off offense. And the first thing we're going to talk about when it comes to 1-4-1 is how the formation is going to affect the zone, because that's probably the most important part. So the 1-4-1 is really tough to play, or tough for a zone to play, because it puts players right in the soft spots and the gaps of the zone. The top center player and the player at X, they're basically filling zones, but the other 4 across the middle are right in soft spots, whether it's the 2-3 inside, and then the 5 and the 4 are in the gaps between the 1-4 in the zones here and the 3-6 zones here. So first, if you are going to run this, the first thing you have to understand is that the players on the perimeter of the field have to move their feet. If they don't, their passes are going to be picked off by these corner players, right? So as the ball is passed from the 5 to the 1, they have to move their feet. Then, even just as the ball is swinging, we are going to have a lot of space inside as these players try to account for the players in the middle. And sometimes you can find openings within the middle just by being in this formation and moving a bunch, because as you see right here, as 2 cuts across the middle of the field, that's going to pull 5 with him, and then 3 then has space on the backside in order to kind of step into space. Now, I like the cutting and then kind of cutting into the wake of the player who cut before you more than I like picking, because picking, I like the idea of being deceptive, and picking is for more slips when I think about it versus the other. But so the other thing you can do if you want to attack the middle just in a 1-4-1 formation is by setting picks. So as the ball swings, 2 here is going to set a pick for 3. 3 is going to come off the pick. And now we've got a nice little look inside. Now, as we go to the footage, the first thing that we're going to see is how we want to feed in these spaces. So you're going to see the ball swing. This player is going to cut up to draw the attention of the crease zone. And as he cuts, the ball will move. And then this player is going to be wide open as this player goes out to play the wing. Right? So they're just moving. They're kind of cross-cutting. And you see a nice little feed inside. Next, if the defense miscommunicates, you're going to have the same kind of thing. So if we stop it here, you can see our kind of 1-4-1, 1 up here. He's kind of higher, not really on the wing. And now as the ball swings, this player, 88, he comes upfield, which draws the crease zone up. And he's like, who's going to be accountable for him? But he misses this player cutting down towards the crease. Doesn't get much easier than that. Finally, this is a video from last night, North Carolina versus Brown, where as the ball swings, same basic idea. 2 draws this defenseman out of the middle zone, and then Chris Gray just steps into space right here. Ball swings around, and he just has enough time to catch it. Nice turn and shoot. Doesn't get much easier than that. So The 1-4-1 formation in and of itself can create great opportunities for your offense. Now, as we move back into our 1-4-1 set within our lacrosse lab, now we're going to talk about the carry step off idea. So once again, our idea is that we want to attack the gaps of the defense, right? So as the ball swings around, one of the perimeter players is going to carry from one zone to another, or kind of between and into the gaps. When that happens, one of the crease players is going to step off to the opposite side of that zone. The first way we're going to show that is with the top. Now, when I outline these in terms of names, I say north, east, west. We're not really going to do south, which would be X, because at X, since they've got two zones on the pipes, drawing out to those sides isn't really going to gain much of an advantage, because there's on two sides of the field, we're not going to have any overloads. It just doesn't work quite as well. But so as one catches the ball here, he is going to carry to the right, to the left side of the field. And as he does that, 3 pops off into that space. Now, once he does that, if he throws back, now 3 has to rotate. We have this 2-on-1 with 3 and 5. And then if the ball goes back to 5, now this player, 6, has to curl up field to complete the 2-on-1 here. If he does that, he steps in to shoot, but if 6 rotates, he would be passing down. The next way we can do it is by using the sides. So when we do carry step-offs for the sides, the biggest key is that we have the player at X has to come and become the extra man on each side. So as this player, as 5, carries up the wing, he throws back. Now notice, once they get to the edge of these zones, as he throws back, we're just accommodating for these 2 zones, 3 and 6. And then the player 6 on the blue team has to be the next player who kind of curls up to create the odd man advantage after we carried and stepped off. Now, this video is showing you the looks and how they go when they work, right? But if these don't work and we continue to swing the ball, the key is that then another player will cut to the crease, so that we first had 4, we carried and stepped off, now we have 5 perimeter players. Then we need to cut someone else to the crease so that we once again have 4 on the perimeter and then 2 inside, and then we'll just run it again. And so the first video we're going to show is of that happening really well. So now in our first video, UNC does a great job of moving into and out of the 1-4-1 with carry step off with 4 on the perimeter and then 5 on the perimeter. So as we start to play, this player dodges, this player steps off, right? Now we have 5 on the perimeter. Nothing's there, so they move it. After a second, after they're looking, probing, swing the ball, and now the player who was originally on the crease to start with moves back into the middle, and they're going to run the play again. Now, as he comes to the middle, this player actually just pops off again, and it creates the same kind of overload scenario where then we have a great draw dump to a step down shot. So the key to this is definitely the fact that we really want to make sure that we are probing the defense as we're in this, not necessarily running it as if it was a set play. Now, in this example, same basic idea. We are going to have a nice carry step off. This player is going to carry down the wing, step off high, and now the fact that we've got 5 players on the perimeter is going to overload them as the ball swings. He dodges up the wing, moves the ball, drew 1, 2, 3, 4 passes to a step down. So it is about probing. It's about making sure that your players are just playing. Now, the next 3 examples are going to be the exact same play from the exact same game, and each one is going to give us a pretty decent opportunity. This is going to be our north step off. So catches it top center, carries to his right, throws back. Great look, step down. Next one, same basic idea. Ball's going to swing to top center. He's going to carry to his right, have a nice little step down. Now we rotate, 1 more to a good shot, decent look. Finally, same exact thing. Carry, step off, 1, 2, and this time he hits it. So if they're going to operate by the same principles, we are going to operate off of the same ideas. And so this is something that a lot of players seem to have trouble with, is they think that because we're running the same play again against the same defense, we're going to have the same result. But you never know which new defenders are in, who's going to miss an assignment. So each time you run it, it's got to feel like a brand new play. Okay. So the final thing that we are going to cover is a couple of set plays. So as we move back to Lacrosse Lab, we are going to go through set plays and schemes. The first one we're going to cover, we don't have any video for, but I figured we would show it because it's a very cool idea. It just takes a lot of time and patience and players who know how to read the field. So here's the basic idea. This is called three-man gears. You're going to have three righties on the right side of the field, three lefties on the left side of the field. And we are going to create basically the action of gears where players are going to throw across the top of the field and then cut through the middle and end up on the bottom. So each side is going to cycle and they're going to throw across the top. Now, as they do this, what we're ending up doing, and so the defensemen aren't moving here, but they're going to have to be passing off tons of players. Now, once we get to a certain point, we're then going to pass down. And as we pass down, we're going to have 3 passes down for all the players. And the player who originally threw the ball, he's going to catch the ball on the low side of this. And now once he catches the ball, he is now going to be looking upfield through to all of these cutters. If nothing's there, he carries all the way back up top, passes the ball across, cuts through again, and now we can attack the other side. Now, as I've run this with my teams, it hasn't always gone perfectly, right? We've hit certain looks, but it seems like players are really trying to, they actually don't get the ball all the way down first. That's what really happened. And then, but as players did do that, oh, the cuts were always there because the players on the inside, they were always just, you know, just trying to account for all the different players who were cutting. And then as 2 players would cut to opposite directions, it created a lot of great motion, a lot of great looks that I think could have been there, but we never really got good enough to really utilize it a lot. The next set play we have is going to be what I call Bulldog set play. It's just a Yale play that they ran a couple years ago. And so they're going to start out in basically a 3-3 set. Now, the 3-3 is really cool because it puts players in a perfect position to draw and dump in their 3-3 because they're in the same formation as the defense. So if someone can draw a slide, they end up in the perfect position to follow the next slide. Now, as we play, what's going to happen is the ball is going to swing all the way around to the left. And as it swings, 3 is going to cut all the way down through. Once 4 gets the ball, 4 is going to swing it to 6. And then 5 is going to be open because 3 drew the red 5 in the middle. So as they play, 3 is going to cut all the way through. He draws the crease player. And then 5 is left open on the doorstep on the opposite side. So now let's go back over to our film, show you in action. So this player here is going to end up cutting all the way through. He's going to take the attention of 35. Once the ball hits back left over here, then it's going to swing this way and then up into the crease. Moves it, begins his cut. Little kind of fake pick inside. He draws the attention. And now it's a nice little slit play. Great look. Didn't score, but I mean, that's about as good a look as you can get. Now, the final thing that we are going to show is a look that Salisbury used a couple years ago. And this is going, I'm just calling it Salisbury low shallow cut. And so they're going to start in an open set. Now, the cool thing about an open set is that we're going to have 3 players on each side to attack these, the 2 zones on the exterior of the field like we talked about. Now, when the ball hits back right or back left, they're going to carry up their corresponding wing, and the player who's above them is going to shallow cut underneath. Now, as the ball is swinging, they are going to be probing the defense, looking for looks. It's not something where they're just going to be stagnant. So as he catches it, he might, you know, dodge into space, see if he can draw a slide, create some plays. But ultimately, if it gets to the bottom left or bottom right, they're going to use this carry shallow cut. Now, when they use the carry shallow cut, what they're trying to do is draw out the crease player. So as he carries up the wing and they draw the crease out, that creates our situation where then we want to overload. Because as the crease is drawn out, we are going to cut from top center or top on that same side and then fill with the opposite side top player. So we end up with a 2v1 with 3 and 1 in blue versus 2 in red. So the ball comes through, down, and now he can either feed the first cut, or if 2 covers him, he can then feed the over-the-top step-down shot as well. So now let's watch it in action. So ball starts to swing, gets down to low left, swings over to low right. They just continue to swing it, comes back, nice carry shallow cut, and they just keep playing. Good throwback, didn't draw any crease out though. This player takes a nice little dodge, kind of probing. Ball continues to move. Carry shallow cut low down there. That throwback might have happened, it might have worked. They try to attack the same side. Swing it through X, another carry shallow cut. Pushes it up top. Swings it across eventually. So they continually look for the play, look to make a play. So it's not always the same thing over and over. Now, ball comes that way. They try to attack the same side. This time they draw the crease out, and that prompts the cut. And so as they get to this position where once this crease player cuts out of the middle, we are going to cut into that space. Now, if this player is operating by his zone principles, he's going to follow to this player and try to hold. And that's exactly what he does. He turns his head, and now we have a nice opportunity to cut right behind these players. And then if this player comes over into space, we've got a great step down coming from over the top. So one more quick topic that we've got to get in because we're here, and I want to make sure we do, and that is wheels. So wheels are used on man up to basically try to beat zones because you're moving players through the different zones, and it's great. But the key is to recognize that you want to stop in between the zones and the gaps, not just rotate from one zone to the other. And so what I'm going to show you is a couple of different four-man wheels that work really well that are very dangerous if you use them in the correct way. So the first one I'm going to show you is a side wheel. And so basically, I like to have the players set up in a 3-3. You can do any other kind of set that you want, and the key is just finding those gaps, finding those soft spots. But so as the ball is passed from blue 5 to blue 3 is then going to carry up, and these players are going to run their four-man motion. Now, you'll notice as the defensemen are trying to maintain their zones, eventually they have to let their players go. So when these players get to the midpoints between their zones, there's going to be some openings and some soft spots that we're going to be able to attack. The key is stepping between the zones on the rotation so you can draw to dump the ball and then work on those draw and dumps once you've drawn two. So now in this example, they run it twice, and now they're just kind of looking for their plays. Now, if you want to run a more of a set play with the same ideas, you can do a four-man wheel and seal. This is a Hopkins man-up play. Basically, these players are going to run a four-man wheel, and then the two players on the outside are going to seal their men for the crease to pop off. So as the ball moves to top center, these two players are now going to seal their men for the crease to pop off, and now he has a step down. And so you can look that up, four-man wheel and seal man-up play. On POWLAX.com. Great play. I don't have it against an actual zone, just man down in terms of the video. The final wheel that I want to show you is the four-man wheel that actually corresponds to the Cuse motion offense, and that's the four-man top wheel. So if 5 here sweeps across the top in the Cuse motion offense, 3 is going to mirror out, 1 is going to fade to the backside, and then 2 is going to use his void cut. Now this void cut is one of the things we really want to focus on. As he clears through this space, he is going to create space for 1 to then dodge after the fact. So as he sweeps, we have the throwback to the mirror. We also have the look inside if he can create the space with 5. And then he has the pass forward to the dodge down the opposite alley. Now, like the side wheel, we also have a seal variant where we can actually seal the backside player into the middle of the field to create space for our dodge. So now, as we have our sweep, fade, cut the middle is going to seal his zone off, and that's going to create space for 1 to catch the ball and then dodge. And so this is just a really cool way of creating offense if you are already used to the Cuse motion offense. And it's something that if you're using that motion when you play a zone, you really don't have to be worried because you have the alley dodge with that clear through, and then you also have the sweep where you can seal off that backside zone. Now, you do have to be a bit savvy to hit some of those looks, but that's kind of what we're here to teach, right? Especially at the high school level. Now, in terms of coaching against zones at the youth level, it's really stick skills, right? I'm not a big fan of, if you do have the player who's got, range, that's great. But then even just teaching these principles to the players in practices using sideways 3v2s or like one side 4v4s. There's a lot of different things you can do, but you guys can get in touch with me by leaving a comment down in the comment section if you'd like to do that. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comment section. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit me up on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of the above. Have a good one. I will see you guys in the next video.